Pink Floyd The Wall, are you talking about?
Yes.
It was probably the most miserable film I ever made. I didn't enjoy it. It was a conflict with Roger Waters of the Pink Floyd. And yet, oddly, I'm very proud of it, creatively. It's a very original film. A lot of it was spontaneous. I describe it as I didn't go to film school, so I describe it as my film school film. Probably the most expensive film school film in history. But it was, the problem with it was that, it was a very successful record. It then was a very successful rock and roll theatre that then I made a film of, and then after the film, the record became even more successful. I think it's the third most successful album in history. And I think that, yes, it was the opposite to doing the Commitments. The Commitments was enjoyable, and Pink Floyd The Wall was not. But I come back to the same thing. It's much nicer to have a happy environment to make a film. But it's not always necessary. Joseph Losey, the American film director, said, be very wary of cozy, happy sets, because sometimes cozy, happy sets can lead to very bad films. But on the other hand, out of conflict, can come original thought, and I think that's the case of Pink Floyd The Wall. And it's still successful, and it still runs everywhere, so yeah, I'm quite proud of it, although I didn't enjoy making it at all.
Solo qualche parola su un aspetto meno conosciuto di Sir Alan Parker, che è un grande combattente per la difesa dei diritti dei registi. È stato tra i promotori del primo grande sciopero dei registi inglesi che ha bloccato la BBC e ha cambiato il sistema di produzione. Oggi è il presidente dei registi europei e non tutti i registi sono così attenti a quello che succede ai loro colleghi. Due parole su questo, grazie.
Well, thank you. Yes, I feel very strongly that directors' rights have to be fought for, and there is a camaraderie amongst directors which people don't realise, because the system makes us very competitive with one another. And then suddenly, when you meet with other directors, you realise we all have the same problems, and a lot of those problems have to be continually fought for. Even now, as we speak, the right of the authorship of movies, which is so different in Europe to the United States, where obviously the copyright on films is always owned by the studio. The truth is about directors, and the reason that you have to fight so much, particularly with regards to the rights of copyright, is that most directors, in order to get their films made, actually don't make very much money. Most directors. Maybe in Hollywood they do, but most directors in Europe, it's not a terribly well-paid job. And the way that you actually can make some money is, if your film is good and people see it, is that the residuals and the part ownership of the copyright as the author is the way in which people make a living. And but for myself, I was the founder of the Directors Guild with my great mentor was an American director called Fred Zinnemann, and Fred was the president and I was the vice president. He asked me to be the vice president because he was a bit deaf, and so I had to sit next to him so I could shout in his ear to tell him what was happening. But so that's how I got involved in politics. I was very helpful to Fred. But Fred Zinnemann said one thing to me, which was, it's such a privilege to be a film director. Don't waste it. And I think that was the best advice I ever had.